Happy holidays! And it's Monday. After a great weekend of celebrating, why don't we celebrate some more? We got Monday Night Football. Woo! The Chargers are in Indy, and it is looking festive out there. Look at those lights. That is beautiful. Great job by the people of Indy. I've been there before. They know how to host a sporting event, so they're hosting a great one tonight. Welcome to Monday Tailgate, presented by Snickers. I'm Skubie Mageza here with Daniel Dopp. It is an interesting matchup for everybody who is involved in fantasy football, but away from that, still, it's something to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
We're going to see what the Chargers can do. They're still getting their playoff hopes up in the air. And we're going to have a great show for y'all in store. We'll take you through Saturday and Sunday's best moments with Monday memes. And why don't we talk about rookie mistakes with Christmas gifts? What's the worst Christmas gift that you have gotten? We have Erin Dolan dropping in our show for that as well. She'll give us our best bet. And you'll give us the ultimate fantasy lineup as well, right?
I'm going to do my best to try, Scooby, yeah.
All right. Yeah, so Chargers, Indy, what are you looking forward to most in this matchup?
What am I looking forward to most? Well, I need to have a couple players do well here. Josh Palmer, I need to do really well. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But in all honesty, again, we talked about this Chargers team. Like, who are they? After last week, they looked awful. They were not what seems like a team led by a superstar quarterback in Justin Herbert with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler. They have skill position players everywhere, but they have been underperforming. Who shows up tonight against the Colts? Because I feel like there's nothing new to Chargers fans, but it's like a tale of two teams.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And then staying in the AFC, we had some breaking news earlier on today. The Broncos had fired their head coach, Nathaniel Hackett. They made it official. This is in the middle of his first year as a head coach. He has a record of 4-11, and it comes a day after an ugly 51-14 blowout to the Rams, who are led by Baker Mayfield. The franchise will miss the playoffs for a 7th straight season. Your reaction to the Hackett firing?
This is step one, and there's a lot of steps left until you get to where you need to be if you're the Denver Broncos. This is not just Nathaniel Hackett goes and maybe we can fix Russell Wilson. Like, they've got to figure out with Russ, are they in this for the long haul? Are they going to try to be able to decide? If we bring in a new head coach or if we bring in new staff, are we going to let them say, no, this isn't what we want to do? So they've got a lot to be able to figure out this offseason. And that's a ton of money. Russ is owed a ton of money. He's
$100 million cap hit next season, and you're so committed to him with trade capital and a number of different things. I know Broncos Nation kind of expected to see this after such an ugly loss, and there was a lot of excitement coming into this year. You get an offensive-minded coach. You're bringing in a quarterback who was playing at an MVP level at one point before he got hurt last year. And when you speak about Broncos Nation, our resident Broncos fan, L. Duncan, joined our show at the beginning of the season, excited about Bronco Nation being able to ride, but now they ain't riding nowhere but the couch to watch the playoffs just like us. L, you have a reaction now with some thoughts into the firing.
Yeah, this is a move that had to happen. I'm actually really surprised that the Broncos did it, just because a lot of teams would not want to admit 15 games and they made a huge mistake. Like, they would not be able to swallow their pride and admit that. And I think it's largely because, well, they can't fire Russell Wilson. So, this is the closest thing to appeasing fans who are like, what are we doing? This is one of the worst offenses the franchise has ever had, let alone the worst offense this season. So I'm glad that the Broncos realized right away that Nathaniel can't hack it, which is a joke for me because it's been a long season. So shut up. As for who you bring in, I don't know. I think Eric Bieniemy. I'll throw the name out there, whatever. I don't care why he's not getting a job. He's the closest thing to a magician we have in the NFL. And have you seen Russell Wilson this year in that offense? Like they need sorcery to make it work. In fact, is Gandalf the Grey available? I would take any character from Harry Potter. Honestly, Chris Angel, apply here because that's what it would take.
I freaking love El Duncan. That's incredible.
Yeah, she will not fail us when we ask her for a video. But to El's point, the Broncos got worse in almost every
category.
statistical category
Yeah.
when you talk about their offense. And they have a Super Bowl winning defense. At one point this year, they had the #1 scoring defense, but they have the number 32 scoring offense. It has not been great for the Broncos at all. Now let's keep it moving and recap some of this weekend's action with Monday memes. You know we love to do it that way for those who tune into the show every single week. And let's start with what happened in Miami with the Packers going on the road and keeping their playoff hopes alive, raising back from the dead. The story here was Tua throwing 3 fourth-quarter interceptions on 3 consecutive drives. The term Tua turned the ball over was trending on Twitter yesterday, which is pretty savage when you talk about wordplay. But speaking of Tua, breaking before we went on air, he is in concussion protocol for the 2nd time this season. Mike McDaniel said he's not sure when Tua suffered the concussion. During the game, nobody recognized anything with regard to a hit. And it was something he met with doctors with today and then ended up realizing that he needs to be thrown in the concussion protocol. There is video on Twitter going around. Schefter tweeted it out that this concussion happened somewhere around the 2nd quarter with about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, which could have led to his bad performance in the second half. We're not speculating, but that is a situation right now with Tua. And this is concerning for a team who is now on a 4-game losing streak. And now it's looking like you may not have your quarterback, because let me tell you something, 3 concussions, that's just bad. You can't have that. The mind is no thing to be played with, and now Tua has had multiple head injuries.
Yeah, and this is going to be really tough. Obviously, we wish the best for Tua. We're going to continue to monitor that going forward. And to your point, Scooby, like this team was 8-3. This team was in a spot where they were 8-3, and they were like primed for a huge playoff run. And then they had a massive losing streak, 4-game losing streak. Miami is just the 6th team in the last 15 seasons to be 5 games or more above 500 at the start of a 4-game losing streak. Here's the thing, every single one of these other teams,
No.
none of them made the playoffs.
So right now, for those watching at home, things are looking, if history tends to repeat itself like it does, they most likely won't make the playoffs. And right now, who knows if they'll have their quarterback at all for the rest of the year. The Dolphins, however, can still clinch in Week 17 with a win plus a Jets loss at Seattle, according to ESPN's FPI. And their chances are looking good when you think about that. But that is going to happen with a possible no Tua? With Teddy Bridgewater?
I'll say this, it's not definitive, and we talk about this on Fantasy Focus all the time with Stefania. It's been really tough to find someone who's had a concussion that has come back within a 7-day period. It has happened so far this year, but it's really tough. So I would probably make assumptions that Tua's not going to be here for this next game, and the Dolphins are going to have to roll with that and figure out what they're going to do for the week after that. This is like worst case scenario for the Miami Dolphins because of the long-term health that you want for Tua. You never want to see anybody go through this. But also trying to make the playoffs here in the short term. It's a really tough spot.
Yeah, and on the other side of it, the Packers, they now have a 38% chance to make the playoffs, according to the FPI. That chance was at 3% after Week 12, and now it's shot up. So anything can possibly happen. But now let's go back in time to Saturday, to a game that everybody had their eyes on, the Eagles and the Cowboys. And listen, the Eagles had a chance to lock up the 1 seed in the NFC. And while Gardner Minshew showed out, it was 4 Eagles turnovers that did them in. Dallas trailed by 10 twice in this game, but Dak and his offense answered, and they went off, and T.Y. Hilton, making a comeback, catches a 3rd and 30 bomb from Dak Dopp. What a game from that offense.
And this was one of those things that we had talked about. What are these Cowboys teams, how are they going to respond, understanding that the Philadelphia Eagles do not have their leader under center? This was a spot for them to be able to help solidify a big part of what they need. Dak needed to play well here. He needed to not turn the ball over against a good Eagles team. And he did a pretty good job here. 3 touchdowns and only 1 interception.
I'll tell you what, when Dak threw that interception early on in the game, I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Dak.
Like, Dak is just bad. This is who Dak is this year. and then he just went on a tear. Double-digit completions in a row. This was one of the best games that we've seen Dak play in maybe a year or two. Like, I haven't seen Dak play this well in a long time. But when you talk about the Eagles, they didn't have Jalen Hurts, and everyone is saying, oh, if we had Jalen Hurts, we would have won this game. You gave up 40 points.
Yeah.
Your defense gave up 40 points, Dopp. So what is Jalen Hurts going to do if your team is still putting up 30-plus points? You should still win that game.
You should still absolutely win that game. One thing I do want to note, though, and this has nothing to do with the defense, which crazy that the Eagles defense gives up 40 points. Yeah. But Eagles lost Lane Johnson, and that's something that's definitely going to affect their running game. They are one of the most run-heavy teams in the NFL, regardless of if Jalen Hurts is under center. Losing a guy like Lane Johnson, potentially just even for it's the end of the regular season, something that will impact them as they try and close out strong. No team wants to go into the playoffs on a whisper. Like, you want to go in there and you want to close out strong. So we'll see how the Eagles respond.
And let's not forget, the NFC is still very competitive with that top seed. Yep. Right now, there are 4 teams still in contention to get the top seed in the NFC. That is the Vikings. That is the 49ers. That is the Cowboys. So speaking of the Vikings, they ended up getting a win, and they don't seem to do it the easy way. As you see here in this meme, let's draw 25, Kevin O'Connell said. They gave up a late touchdown to Saquon Barkley. That tied the game with 2 minutes left, but that didn't stop Kirko Chains and this offense from marching down the field to get a Greg Joseph 61-yarder to win the game and keep Minnesota in the 2th seed and keep the Giants from clinching a playoff spot. But this Vikings team, yet again, gets a last-minute one-score win. What's that, 11 now this year?
11.
An NFL record,
Like, I'm just not buying this. Listen, I love that my twin, TJ Hawkinson, got 2 touchdowns.
My twin.
Right? He's like, that's great. TJ, I'm proud of you, man. Like, every single week, it's just you and me, buddy. But this is one of those things that cannot continue. They cannot win 11 one-score games. They cannot be 11-0. That's not something that's going to continue once you get to the regular through the postseason. Like,
it's unheard of.
It's just there are too many things that are going right, that are going the Vikings way that shouldn't be going the Vikings way when you get into these situations. Just like, I feel like the law of nature, like, is going to say, like, something's going to fall apart.
Look at late game Cuzzo, though. Like, at what point are we going to start giving Kirk Cousins some love? Right now, he has 9 touchdowns to 1 interception in the 4th quarter or overtime, while also ranking top 5 in yards per attempt and touchdown rate. And including, he's got JJ, Justin Jefferson, who was having a historic season. I look at it like this, right? The Vikings have an all-pro running back. They have an all-pro wide receiver. They have an all-pro tight end. And they have Kirko Chains bling-blinging, doing his thinging every single 4th quarter. But that defense is suspect. I will say that.
That's what I'm talking about. This is the thing. Great that Kirk Cousins is doing that in the 4th quarter and overtime, but he shouldn't have to be doing that. You cannot consistently win games like that if your quarterback. These are stats that I saw as a Lions fan for years with Matthew Stafford under center. 4th quarter comeback stats don't mean the things that you want.
Oh, man. So 6 wins this year where there was a game-winning score for the Vikings in the final minute of regulation or in overtime. That ties last year's Raiders.
That's crazy.
2021. Fitz, that is your team. So we have some relation towards that. Shout out to the Vikings. Keep doing your thing, Kirko Chains. I'm with y'all. All right, let's keep things moving because now it's time for our rookie mistake presented by Snickers.
All right.
I think it usually is. All right. Not sure if you heard yesterday, but it was Christmas.
Yep.
Obviously.
It was.
And it was about giving gifts. A lot of NFL players tend to give their players gifts. Jalen Hurts decided to hook his team up, and he hooked them up with some Louis bags. And then Patrick Mahomes went the golf route, hooked them up with some golf clubs. And then Josh Allen and Zach Wilson went for custom scooters. Isaiah McKenzie got his squad's custom NFL Blitz arcade games. Like, this is what you do for your squad when you're all millionaires and this is really like $5 to you. But today is Boxing Day where you can return your gifts. So now, my fault. I did a little early. It's time for the rookie mistake presented by Snickers because the rookie mistake is, what is the worst Christmas gift you've ever had?
You know what, Scooby? This is not going to be a popular one. But when I was 23 and single, I got stationed in Hawaii on December 23rd, 2007. And I was alone as a Michigan kid, not around any of my family or snow or any of the things that I'm used to. Spending Christmas in Hawaii, like single, sort of sucked. That was the worst Christmas gift that I've ever had. Because I'm just like a big family person. We grew up with snow everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, that's
true.
part of Michigan thing. So when you go to Hawaii and it's 80 degrees and coconuts and pineapples, it's just, that first time it wasn't the same. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Go to Hawaii with coconuts and pineapples. That sounds amazing. But, to each his own. And Dopp is a huge family person.
That's true.
So your whole family is here right now celebrating the holiday season with you. So I can see why that is a terrible gift for you on Christmas. For me, I would say my worst one, pajamas. I don't care for pajamas because I sleep in athletic wear. So when I got pajamas as a gift, like, why do I need this?
What kind of athletic wear? Like a singlet? Like a wrestling singlet?
No, wrestling singlet. More so like I sleep in the silk shirts, like the silk Under Armour. Those are good. They let some air out when you sweat at night. I sleep in those type of things, some shorts. That's all you need. I don't need anything special with pajamas or anything like that.
Can I just say, I thought it was crazy that Isaiah McKenzie made that list as like a non-quarterback giving out big arcade games. Good for him.
I also read that and I was like, oh wait, Isaiah McKenzie hooked his teammates up? Like he's not making quarterback money, but at the same time he's still gifting his teammates. What a good guy.
How tough was it for Zach Wilson to have to be the one to be able to gift the offensive lineman when really it's been Mike White that's been the...
Zach Wilson should just have saved his money because they probably don't want to protect him that much anymore. But Erin Dolan also has a worse gift that she received on Christmas.
Uh-oh.
All right, guys, I've been waiting years to talk about this gift. That is why I still have a photo of this, because I am no longer with the person who gave me this gift on Christmas. And we were together for a long time. I'm just going to say that. But nonetheless, this is a red bottle of wine, which is covered in chocolates that were filled with caramel and nuts. And it was made to look like a pineapple. Now, I had no association to pineapple in terms of liking that style look. I don't know what that was about. And then for the chocolates, I don't like those chocolates at all. So like you took the time to go buy a hot glue gun and glue it to a bottle of red wine, which I also do not drink. The whole thing made absolutely no sense. And when I opened it, and you guys probably knowing who I am, I was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then you'd think sometimes people gift somebody something that they're gonna then take and use. It was not something either of us were going to use. So I don't know where that came from and why it was a good idea to go to Michael's Arts and Crafts and do that. Because sometimes creative things are really, really sweet, but not a red wine bottle, which I don't drink, with chocolates that I don't eat, and looking like a pineapple, which makes absolutely no sense, and you add in a little Santa Claus hat. It made no sense. Moral of the story, if you were dating somebody for 4+ years, you cannot give this to them on Christmas.
I'll tell you what, if I had that pineapple waiting for me when I got to the airport in Hawaii on December 23rd, 2007, I'd have been thrilled, Erin Dolan.
You know
Look
what?
at that.
That is... The time that he took, and I don't know if y'all saw the top of the hat, the pineapple had a Christmas hat.
It did, yeah.
It had a Christmas hat.
I'll say this. He put a lot of effort into it, Scooby, but obviously didn't know his partner well enough to know that this wasn't the right gift.
Listen, Erin is...
treasure?
Yeah, she is a treasure, and she will let you know when she likes something.
Oh, shit, she will. We love Erin.
And when she doesn't like it. So... those are the worst Christmas gifts that we all have gotten. And we got one more person who also got a bad Christmas gift. That is our boy, LME, Luis Miguel Echegaray. And we also had something to say about his Christmas movie list that he made last week. But let's hear about his worst gift.
Thanks, Scooby. Yeah, I thought I'd defend myself because I got a lot of slack from what I thought was my Monday tailgate family. All right, my picks, I stand by them. First of all, It's a Wonderful Life. It's not one of the greatest Christmas movies. It's one of the greatest movies, period. It's a staple of American cinema. It's ridiculous. And the same goes with Home Alone 1 and 2. I'm sorry. But Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, they're super overrated and they don't belong in my list. I'm sorry. Elf, I'll give you Elf. But that's about it. I'm not moving on my list. All right, rookie mistakes. Well, listen. I'm Peruvian, I'm Latino, And in our families, we love to give crappy gifts. And my dad, when I was a kid, once gave my cousin a deodorant stick. Talk about rookie mistake. But he didn't care, and we don't care. Peruvians, man, we love to re-gift, even if it is toiletries.
Thanks, LME. Clearly, the re-gift is completely unforgivable. Unforgivable. I don't know who you are when you're doing those type of things. But some fantasy players gave out some gifts to their fantasy managers. And Dopp, you're here to deliver us the most ultimate fantasy lineup.
I mean, listen, we're at the end of the season. We're getting close to it, right? Why not take a quick look back at everything? So let's start at the quarterback position, Skubie, all right? For me, how can you go anywhere other than Jalen Hurts, right? You look at Jalen Hurts. 22 passing touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, but the big thing, 13 rushing touchdowns. Sheesh. Rushing touchdowns are worth 6 fantasy points. Passing touchdowns are only worth 4. I thought about throwing him up there, or I thought about throwing Patrick Mahomes up there instead of him. I went that route in a couple of scenarios, but you know what?
Let's compare.
Jalen Hurts averaged over 26 fantasy points a game. He had 9 games with 24 or more fantasy points. He had, like, when he's topping 30 at least 5 times, you know that you're in a great spot. You can't go wrong with Jalen Hurts here. At running back, I went with Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler, we were talking about touchdown regression, right? There's no way he's going to be able to score 20 touchdowns again. Okay, not 20 touchdowns, but 1,300 scrimmage yards, 95 receptions, and 14 total touchdowns. He still has 14 total touchdowns, which is incredible.
So would you draft him first if you had a chance to redraft? Because clearly, Jonathan Taylor was not him. For all those that drafted Jonathan Taylor,
I'll tell you what, next year, I think Austin Eckler is in consideration for 1.01 with what he's done 2 straight years in a row. But it's tough not to talk about CMC either, because CMC came on for this Carolina Panthers team and then got traded over to the 49ers. We wondered what he was going to look like, what that was going to do for his fantasy value. 1,600 total scrimmage yards.
CMC.
76 receptions and 12 touchdowns, one of them throwing I thought about, very seriously though, the other running back I thought about going with was Josh Jacobs, if you want to throw him up real quick, because as good as Austin Eckler and CMC are, Josh Jacobs scoring almost as many fantasy points a game, but look at the draft position. One was drafted inside the top 10, the other one was drafted in the 7th round.
So key, too.
So
key.
I think Josh Jacobs, outside of the fact that CMC and Austin Eckler are just crushing it in a passing game perspective, Josh Jacobs has to get a little bit of love here. Wanted to give him some. Let's talk about wide receivers, though. Skubie, how do you not talk about Justin Jefferson?
Oh, my Lord.
This is like a historical season that this kid is putting up right now. 1,750 receiving yards as of right now with 123 receptions on 171 targets.
Mr.
That's
Gritty.
over 11 targets a game. He has 9 games with more than 25 fantasy points. You put him into your lineup and he can help you single-handedly win weeks with what this kid is doing. Justin Jefferson, literally a season for the ages. There is no wide receiver that you want more than him. It's all about the race for number 2 here.
Yeah, and I was looking at stats before we came on the show. They said 7 30-plus point games this season in PPR scoring. That is the most in the Super Bowl era. This man is a league winner.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you didn't get him, hopefully you were able to get Tyreek Hill, who also, in his own right, 1,600 receiving yards, 113 receptions with 7 touchdowns. Ooh. He also has a 32% target share, which leads the NFL. No quarterback looks for their wide receiver like Tua does with Tyreek. He is the guy that he goes to. He's just phenomenal.
Tyreek, going from the Chiefs to the Dolphins.
Didn't hurt him at all.
And not even losing a step.
Nope.
The cheetah, still fast as hell.
Doesn't make a difference who throws him the football. I'll tell you what, though, the guy he left behind in Kansas City, Travis Kelce, he's still pretty good at football from the tight end position.
I would say so.
Here's the deal. He's averaging 19.7 fantasy points per game. He has over 1,250 receiving yards, 97 catches, and 12 touchdowns. 7 games with over 20 fantasy points. This was the year where we were talking about Mark Andrews was going to overtake him. Remember that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce has 295.2 fantasy points. The number 2 tight end is TJ Hawkinson with 199. That's 96 fantasy points less for the number 2 guy. Travis Kelce is still in a world of his own. The dude is just unreal.
It's incredible. You know, the thing about combo packs in fantasy is it helps you out so much. If you have the Travis Kelce and Mahomes combo pack, you're in a good position. But not only that, if you have the Jalen Hurts plus A.J. Brown combo pack, you're even in a better position.
You know what? It's almost like someone realized we should throw the football to this kid because he's really good. 1,300 receiving yards, 80 receptions on 124 targets. That's 8.3 targets per game. That's the number that actually matters because when he was in Tennessee, he just wasn't seeing looks. Here in this Philadelphia Eagles run-first offense, they are still making sure that they are giving A.J. Brown looks. He is absolutely unbelievable. He is 5th in red zone target share. The dude is just great. I realize you could technically pick some better wide receivers than him, but with him moving from Tennessee to the Philadelphia Eagles, I love him being my flex. He is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Future is super bright for him, too, with Jalen Hurts under center.
Which combo pack would you bet on? The Jalen Hurts or A.J. Brown or Mahomes and Kelce?
Ooh, Hurts A.J. Brown. Hurts A.J. Brown.
All right. There you have it. Try get them next year as your combo pack. And now, since you mentioned a bet, how about Aaron Dolan with our best bet?
My best bet for this matchup is going to be Justin Herbert over 37.5 passing attempts. Now, he's hit over this mark in 10 of 14 games. And if you look at all the quarterbacks right now in the league, Justin Herbert has had 9 games in which he has thrown 40-plus passing attempts. That's second in the league, only behind Tom Brady. He's going to air the ball out tonight. I just have a feeling about it. If you look at this offense as a whole, they're ranked 2nd in passing yards per game, ranked 31st in rushing yards per game. We know that Justin Herbert really relies on his arm, and a lot is at stake in this matchup. On top of that, the reason I'm taking passing attempts instead of passing completions is because, quite frankly, every time that I need to bet into a market like this, the passing attempts always seem to cash because you don't have to worry about the pass being completed. I'm telling you guys right now, this is one of those markets you should take advantage of. I'm going Justin Herbert over 37.5 passing attempts.
That's a homie. Appreciate you, Aaron. And reminder to everybody out there, you can submit your rookie mistake. Just visit Snickers.com/rookie mistake for a chance to win tickets to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. You want to get in on that. It's going to be nice and warm. I know it's been a cold weekend for everybody, so get out there for the Super Bowl in February. But now let's get to this game in Indy. It is cold, but it is indoors. Chargers, they have to get this win here, but Indy trying to prove something here after some tough losses with Jeff Saturday. So you, as our fantasy expert, what should people know heading into the game?
So I'm really hoping that all of these Chargers come out firing on all cylinders, right? We want Justin Herbert to be the top 10 quarterback that he is. We want both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams to be the two guys that we think that they're supposed to be. You got Stephon Gilmore on the other side. I'm expecting him, based on Mike Clay's shadow report, to be following Mike Williams, so I will watch that matchup. But I personally also need Josh Palmer to do really well. I need at least 30 fantasy points from him in order to stay in the DK lineup that I have for our best ball team. But other than that, man, this is really all about what are these Colts going to look like under center with Nick Foles as they try and figure out parts of the future.
There we go.
They're not going anywhere, so it's like, who do we have? Who do we like? Who's still showing us a few things? And the Chargers need to take advantage of that. So, two different teams, two different paths.
They could have gone with Sam Ehlinger again, who they ended up having started at one point in the season, but now they go to Nick Foles, who obviously has Super Bowl winning experience, is a former Super Bowl MVP winner. But this Colts offense has to figure out an identity of some sort. And right now they got like a 3-headed dragon at running back. I don't know who they're going to be going with. Deion Jackson, Zach Moss. Who do you think is going to be the guy that you expect to get the majority of the carries?
I can't believe that Zach Moss is back.
Yeah.
It's been crazy, but he's a guy that they are definitely going to continue. It feels like they're going to keep using at least to run the football. I don't think that there's any one running back, though, that if I'm starting one in fantasy, boy, I guess it's Zach Moss because of the volume, but I don't feel good about it in any way, shape, or form. The only Colt that I feel good starting right now is Michael Pittman, and that hopefully is elevated by Nick Foles.
Yeah, you just don't know. They haven't played together at this point. But for the Colts, you're going to try and slow down this Chargers offense, and the best way you can do that is just by keeping them off the field. But this Chargers offense has struggled in the second half of this season. Los Angeles has no third-quarter touchdowns in the last 9 games and have been outscored 179-109 in the second half and overtime this year.
They're like the opposite of the Vikings.
Exactly. So, and that's what it goes to when we talk about closing games out. It sounds easier than it may, but it's actually harder.
Super tough.
Now let's make our picks for this game. Who am I going to go with? Because I was trying to put down some bets, and it was a little closer than I expect. When Las Vegas has some questionable numbers, I'm like, hey man, what y'all know, man? What y'all know, Vegas? What y'all know? Dopp, what you got in the game?
I'm going to take the Chargers here, 23-13.
Oh, that's a good one. So
I'm going low scoring.
Last time I checked, the line was at -3.5. But I don't care. I'm going with the Chargers in this. How about 27-17?
All right.
I tried to get cute last week and picked that one. Staff, what you got?
Staff going Colts. Staff going Colts.
Of course they are. Staff has to go the other way. Well, Staff, thank you for saving us.
That's right.
And thank you for watching Monday Tailgate presented by Snickers. Enjoy the game and watch it on ESPN. Peace.